on the macro level, going back to the genesis of the conversation, is about speaking to things that are outside of pigeon-held stereotypical conversations and shaping of the city. I wasn't saying to let those things go. I was saying, in addition to these things, in addition to hip hop, in addition to urban, in addition to all the great things we're doing in the music industry and sports and sneakers and all of the things that we're doing to influence culture through reality television and otherwise, good and bad, let's also introduce other conversations in addition to those things that include golf, that include dress shoes, that include exploits of people within our community that are happening outside of the urban conversation and specter. Thank you.
Love that. Hey, and also, I do agree. This is an conversation. A lot of this is an and conversation. It's not really a or. It's not strip clubs or something else. It's not lemon pepper or something else. I think it's an and. Jesse, I'm with you on that one. So I 1000% agree. Page Barber Supply. Let me get to you, bro. Anything you want to add to the convo?
Yeah, I'm Chris, and from Jackson, Mississippi, on a Page Barber Supply. I just want to touch on an industry that hasn't been mentioned yet, which is the barber and beauty industry. So when I was in barber school in 98, 99, our instructor got the school to charter us a bus to Atlanta for the Bronner Brothers International Hair Show. And like 40,000 people there, blew my mind, made me feel like, oh, this the industry I want to be in. So I think that what Atlanta has also. So back then when I was 18, 19, I don't think I kind of knew was Atlanta music, Freaknik, and Bronner Brothers Hair Show. So I think Bronner Brothers Hair Show was a big influence. Also, they were kind of the leader in the beauty industry for the South, maybe the United States. Also, there were people coming from outside of the country flying in for their show. Fast forward to now, it's people in China that's been having making a process to make their hair to be like an afro to look like black people. I think that maybe but was because of the Bronner Brothers Hair Show. So that's what I want to touch on, that Atlanta was leading the beauty industry by way of the Bronner Brothers Hair Show.
It's a great point, man. Thank you for adding that. Osric, I got you up here on this stage, bro. I think you want to jump in, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. How are you all? This is a very interesting conversation. I'm very, very impressed. Isaac, your platform, this is absolutely fantastic. Jesse, I definitely understand what you're saying. I think the conversation should not just be about Atlanta. I think it should be the conversation should be more about how are we in the diaspora going to raise the bar, add more nuance to what we already have. You know what I mean? I think that is our job. I myself from Osric Cricket, this is the world's first cricket menswear brand. Just like Ralph Lauren added the polo guy on the polo shirt. What we did is we added the cricket man, which is the second largest sport in the world, and it's an aristocratic sport. As a designer, that question comes up in my mind all the time. How do we raise the bar? How do we add more value? The majority of these people on this channel, on this chat box, are early adopters. So the question is, how do we add more to what we're doing? How do we raise the bar? I think that should be the conversation.
Nick, can I
appreciate it, bro. Thank you for that.
I know. Let me say something real quick. I know you're about to close the room. This is my thoughts, and this is how brands feel. If you have to argue how to communicate your brand, you don't have a brand, right? And for the city of Atlanta as a whole and what it represents, and as it pertains to corporate America, I've been in those rooms. I have to argue why you have to support Atlanta, why you have to activate in Atlanta, why you have to lean into Atlanta influencers or whatever it is, not just music, not just sneakers, not just food, and not just liquor. All spaces, advertising agencies, brands, everything. You got to argue for it. I don't have to argue why we should have to spend money in LA or spend money in New York or spend money in Miami or spend money in other markets or spend money in Dallas, Texas or Houston, Texas. But when it comes time to spend money in Atlanta, everybody's in a corporate boardroom looking like they seeing squiggly lines in front of their face. Like they don't see the premise.
You making a point though, Wody.
I'm telling you, I know I am because I've been saying it from the beginning. What I'm saying is the what Atlanta stands for is convoluted. It's all over the place. It's not a singular thing that somebody can lean into and dump $100 million into from a brand marketing standpoint. And I don't want to hear, but Tyler Perry built this. Tyler Perry built this off the backs of doing their partnership deal with Universal Pictures that is in Hollywood. They finance that man's movies. What are you
Hey, hold on, Dean, hold on, because I do want to ask this question.
That's
and this
all
is not
systemic. That's all systemic garbage, dog. That's
hold on, guys, because I want to ask this question to the audience. And this is in particular for people who are not in Atlanta. When we think about LA, yes, we think Hollywood. When we think about Miami, we think the beach. When we think about Texas in general, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, whatever it is, we think about Cowboys or whatever. I would think it's a safe assumption to assume that there are people who live in those cities that say, but we're more than that. One of my best friends, my homeboy Wes, Carl, CM3, I don't know if he's on this call now, but he lives in Orlando. And every time we talk, he's like, yo, it's more to this fucking city than Disney World. And they're always trying to show these other sides. There's these more dynamic roads. But I think the thing with Hollywood, because it's so big, because it's a media-centered thing, it is easy to tell the story of LA and the importance of it, because the thing that y'all are doing for that very thing is built on the communication of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Atlanta's export is not a media empire. I think, and the same thing with New York. So my people who are not in Atlanta, who happen to be from another city, I don't care if it's Philly with cheesesteaks, Chicago with whatever. If you're from a city that's known for one thing, I would have said, I want to just, in the chat real quick, just tell me the other shit that your city is known for. Because I've heard about Philly cheesesteaks since I was a kid, but I can guarantee you, somebody from Philly, Dean, you're from Philly originally. Like, I know that there's other shit in that city besides that fucking cheesesteak.
Great example. I'm glad you said that, Nick. The movie National Treasure is based on the history that took place in Philadelphia that has nothing to do with a fucking cheesesteak. They talking about how Ben Franklin and shit did the Declaration of Independence, all that kind of shit. Like, this is what I'm saying. And this is a buster film, right? Use LA. Let's scratch Hollywood off the list. Cool. We got the black side, the hood. Let's scratch that off the list. You got the heavy Latino and Mexican culture in LA. Let's scratch that off the list, right? You got the tech industry that leans over from Silicon Valley and into LA. Let's scratch that off the list. If you don't want to talk about that, you have a real estate industry in Los Angeles that is arguably one of the richest in the whole fucking country. There's so many things to talk about LA outside of Hollywood.
You ain't wrong. Great point.
So are we saying that there's no other things to talk about Atlanta than the cultural things that we're talking about?
Well, that was the original. Just so everybody who might have joined the room late, that was the original question. What else is there? Because again, I want to go back to Jesse's point and even Duran's point, because Duran makes some excellent points too. To me, this is an and conversation. All right, cool. We know, especially if you're from here, we know we do lemon pepper. We know we do strip club. We like, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all remember the T.I. song? My favorite song, because I hate Welcome to Atlanta. Let me just put that out there. I hate that fucking song. But, you know, when Tip said it's more to the A than what you hear from JD and them, I always felt that way. It's more than girls, Cadillacs, Caprices.
Let's use real estate. Let's use real estate, Nick. I got a guy in Atlanta right now. He wants to shoot a real estate show that's a cross between cribs and like selling LA, right? Just highlighting all the expensive, beautiful homes that Atlanta has to offer. We had 3 fucking Zoom calls with Netflix. You know what Netflix told us? Why would we do that when LA has all these properties? Why would we do that when motherfucking New York and upstate New York has all these properties? Why would we do that when Dallas, Texas has all this land and properties that Jerry Jones owned and all this kind of shit? They literally act, why would we do that when Miami has Star Island and all? They literally looked on a Zoom and said, why would we come to Atlanta and spend $25 million on a real estate show highlighting Atlanta? And of course, they tried to lean into the celebrity. Why would we do that when we can also go get Tom Cruise or Shia LaBeouf or whoever that's also in LA outside of just the black hip hop culture, like Kendrick Lamar and whoever and SZA, whoever else is the fuck out there? I'm telling you, bro, they don't see it because they have a valid argument. And I'm not leaning on the side of corporation. I'm leaning on the side of let's be realistic about what we are offering, right? So we can maximize what we are receiving. Coca-Cola is in our fucking backyard, and nobody in Atlanta can go get a $25 million check from Coca-Cola. Don't that seem crazy?
But
All this culture, all this culture that we have, all
these
resources that we have.
hold on.
Hey, hold on. Everybody, hold on for a second. Everybody, because I got Weeks up there.
I just want to argue with Dean, Nick.
No, I don't want to argue with Dean.
Let me get Weeks first. He's the last person on the stage right now, and then I'm gonna let y'all fight it out, celebrity deathmatch style, into the end.
Dean and Isaac argue that.
But Weeks, please jump in and add to the combo, please.
Yo, can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you.
No,
what's up, Weeks?
What's up, brother? What's up, Duran? I love this conversation, but is it valid, this shit that they say? Because I love this place isn't black culture isn't enough. When Isaac and Duran stuff like that and Dean about really valid because there's suffocation that comes along with the sources that it's coming from. So I do that content, they're like, oh my God, well, this won't do well overseas, so we'll think that we should do this. And what do you mean it's not do well? You're not investing in marketing and branding overseas. So of course they're not gonna fucking know about something that's cultural to LA, something that's cultural to America when you're talking about that type of stuff, because most people don't have that type of expansion or reach with a cultural thing. There's shit that people do in China that we just wouldn't know about with chopsticks because we don't fucking use chopsticks in America. But I'd like to think that black culture is much bigger than that. Obviously, people wear afros and locks, like brother said. So I do think that it's a natural anti-black suffocation. That's just it comes at the hand of classism or business that he just don't consider us, because people that live and grow up in Buckhead and LA, they don't think about what the fuck going on in Bankhead and Opelika and all that shit. So I'll land that there's just a natural suffocation that people just don't think about. But then again, you look around and everybody rock, and every college stadium is changing the lighting in the stadiums in football and NFL, and they all doing them lean with a rock with it.
Swag surf.
But this.
So Nick, I know I found the rule now, Nick. Let somebody say it before me, then I can say it because my personality is so strong. People come at me. That's exactly what I was saying.
He's right.
No, Dean. I'm sorry, Duran. You're 100% right. But I'm with Jesse. Jesse made an amazing point, but it speaks to what you're saying as well. So I think you guys were both right. Y'all were doing a Martin Luther King, Malcolm X.
With Jesse.
To me, ultimately, this is an conversation. The reason that I think a lot of that stuff becomes anti-black or suffocating, the way Weeks said, because I like the words that Weeks used. Those particular words, suffocating, anti-black. Those, you're right, because the corporation and us, we do a thing where it's like it has to be or. You can't show up like this.
These corporations lean into black culture of Los Angeles. They lean into black culture of New York. They lean into black culture of DC. They lean into fucking black culture of North Carolina and Texas. So what are we talking about? They lean into black culture.
No, they don't.
What the fuck are we talking about?
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
First of all, let's just say this. Hold on.
$1 million to do Greenville in North Carolina.
Bruh. Okay, listen. First of all,
they gave one music fest $2 million to do fucking that shit when they first did it.
Okay, again, I'm gonna repeat one more time that what Dean suffers from is I don't want to say white glamour,
This
but
ain't white glamour, bro.
yeah, it is. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you.
White people.
I'm gonna
White
tell you
glamour
why.
is wild.
Fuck
I'm gonna
I'm
tell you.
Y'all going to square up.
No. I'm gonna
Nigga,
tell you.
nigga,
Hold on.
if
I'm
I'm
gonna tell you
selling
why.
crack
Hold on.
on Peachtree Street, nigga,
Hold on.
and I'm selling crack on motherfucking Hollywood Boulevard, that shit's selling at the same speed.
Hold on. The reason why I'm saying that is because all that corporate America tries to do is convince black people that the most valuable things they have are not worth anything so they can exploit it. That's what I'm saying. The black culture is the most black. You take every industry that you're talking about, and black culture is more valuable than all of it combined.
That is facts. I agree.
Okay, so and a lot of that culture, the slang, the verbiage, the clothing, the music, the attitude, the energy, all of these things, the hair, all of this stuff, pretty much pipeline straight out of the South in Atlanta, Georgia. So if I think of HBCUs, you say, okay, if you think of HBCUs, Atlanta's the most HBCU city in America, right?
And still not the most popular HBCU out of motherfucking Howard University in fucking DC.
Hold on, but again, you're because you're around the institutions.
Morehouse is not even more popular globally than Howard University.
Because those institutions are marketed and promoted by New York, LA, and those institutions that are close to media. Atlanta, that's what I don't get. You're talking about basically you're saying that all these corporations and all these companies that promote the culture of these cities are more popular because they have the most television stations and radio stations and cable. Yes, Dean, that's what you're. Hold on, that's what you're saying. You're not saying it has anything to do with the actual product. Hold on, that's not what you're saying, dog.
Hold on. We have 3 of the biggest corporations in the fucking world right here in the city. We have Delta, we have Coca-Cola, we have some fucking CNN media platform in the world. CNN is the first 24-hour nonstop news television station in the fucking world, straight from downtown Atlanta, Georgia. So we have that's an excuse. That's an excuse saying we don't have the media, and that is an excuse saying that we don't have.
That is not. First of all, Dean, that's not an excuse, dog. That's not an excuse. That's not the thing. What most people want to do in business is exploit. So you don't think. So let me just say this. You don't think that Atlanta, over the past 50 years, has been exploited as opposed to being uplifted. If it wasn't for the actions that we took ourselves, so if it wasn't for Maynard Jackson building the airport that becomes global international airport, if it isn't for ourselves getting the Olympics ourselves, right, coming to Atlanta and exposing the world to the culture that is the city, then yeah, we wouldn't have that because we create our own opportunities. We know how to make the most out of the least. And again, nothing is more valuable than all the stuff that you're talking about combined. You can't sell none of it without black culture. And then when you think of black culture, what I'm saying is that as much as New York and LA culture is promoted, right, which means New York and LA is promoted, it is not the dominant culture of this country and of the planet. It just isn't. Just by sheer facts. How's LA? So let me ask you this: how are black people 6% of LA County? And over the last 20 years, the majority of black movies, over 50% of them have been made about black people in Los Angeles. How? Because it's the proximity, dog. It has nothing to do with what the people want. Again, that's why when you see Ryan Coogler make a movie about the Jim Crow South with vampires, everybody goes out to see that shit.
6% of 100 million is still more than 6% of 10 million.
That's why when you see what's the name? Where was Get Out located? What was the town that Get Out was from in the movie?
South Georgia, Alabama, or
yeah, exactly. So when you see movies like Get Out that focus on the South, they weren't in Compton. Get Out wasn't in Manhattan, right? It was in the South. So my point is, when black people see themselves represented on screen in mass that relates culturally to the large group of people, we come out in droves. We drive that culture. That's all that I'm saying. You talking about you. My point is, if you put, this is what I'm saying. If you want to snap your fingers, we want to make a wish, but if you put the Wall Street energy or the finance of what Wall Street was in Atlanta, Georgia, then the conversation wouldn't even be close. It wouldn't be like, all right, cool. If you want to put all the television and music production that goes on in Hollywood and bring all that and the real estate and everything to Atlanta, my point is that Atlanta creates its own value All these other people set up like infrastructure. Like California got the highest GDP in the damn country, right? They got the GDP of countries, right? And so my point is these infrastructures are set up. We make the most out of the least. We're turning sweet potatoes and church and gospel and rap music and hair care products and slang into like $1 billion things. That okay. So my point is that you can't say that just because Black culture out of Atlanta or soul culture out of Atlanta is not on the level of New York and LA because of a marketing and promotion standpoint. It doesn't matter. It still trumps it. It still beats it. It still beats it. New York and LA can have all the television stations in the world, dog. It ain't gonna beat Atlanta. It's not. They can have it. They're not because the women aren't gonna look the same. The dudes ain't gonna talk the same. The energy ain't gonna be the same. Like YNs, like everybody's saying YNs right now. Where's Y? Who be saying Y? Who started saying YNs? Where'd that come from?
That came from Atlanta for sure.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. My point is that all of these things. Hold on.
Actually, hold on, guys. It's 11:05. Appreciate everybody who joined us on today's call. We do this call every single Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time ish. I'm gonna let the conversation keep going. I do have to jump. Isaac is the master moderator right now, so the room can stay open and y'all can keep the conversation going. I gotta jump. I appreciate everybody who jumped on, and like we said, this is not an hour-long conversation. We probably are going to bring this conversation back because there's a lot of stuff that we didn't touch on, and everybody, Jesse, Duran, Isaac,
I gotta work too, you know.
No, you ain't, man. You at work right now. It's your job.
No. I got some other work I got to do, but I know. Listen, we need to have a part
thank everybody for jumping on the jump. But I want to thank everybody who jumped on. Please, y'all come back next week, and we're gonna keep this conversation going. But go for it, Isaac. Go ahead.
Yeah. So shout out to everybody for pulling up. I just, I think I get passionate about what when these kinds of conversations come up, because in a minute, at some point, and I mean in the very near future, and I can and this is what I'll say, and this is what I'll say to Dean too. This is how I'll end this. When I want you to see how the world changes when fan base is the #1 social media platform on the planet. I want you to see how the world changes, because it's not going to be Silicon Valley. It's not going to be New York. It's not going to be LA. It's going to be a platform that's built to disseminate media globally, right? Without interference or interruption or compromise, straight from the voices of the creators, not going through New York, not going through LA, not going through San Francisco. Watch how the world change. You'll have a whole different conversation. It'll be an entirely it'll be, because for the first time ever, you will have a social media platform that is designed to allow the creators to speak and not these think boxes. So watch how Black Coca-Cola get when fan base is #1. Watch how Black Nike get. Watch how Atlanta Nike get when all these. I just want you to see that. Watch how Black Netflix get. Watch how Black. They all get that way. But my point is, it's not about the value. It's not about the quality or the mainstay of what it is. It's the fact that there are no infrastructures that are built to disseminate Black culture in a way freely without opposition. That is the point that I'm talking about. When Black culture gets disseminated freely without opposition, compromise, or exploitation, then you build an infrastructure where people can sit up there and we can have this conversation on a different level. Because watch, the world gonna change.
I don't know if y'all seen this, but the first sort of call sheet thing on Apple TV, and Eddie Murphy is talking, and he's talking about the movie Boomerang, how it was literally the first all Black lead cast movie in history with a major studio budget that did not have not one white person on the call sheet in a lead role, right? And he talked about positioning Black people in storytelling that wasn't rooted in slavery, that wasn't rooted in sexual abuse or physical abuse or anything like that. Real raw Black relationships showing Black people being executives and running companies and all that kind of stuff. And then Love Jones came, and Love Jones was one of the first Black movies ever that was a romantic movie that was set in real love, that wasn't set in a woman getting beat, that wasn't set in no kind of negative bullshit. It was real shit, right? And those two movies were backed by huge Hollywood studios, and they showed how the storytelling of those movies basically helped change how Black movies are financed, on a larger scale. So, and I know it sounds crazy, but we might not even get the opportunity to get a film like Black Panther financed if it wasn't for a film like Boomerang, right? So what I'm saying is we have to be intentional, right, with what we are presenting as Black people, as Black culture. And if we say that Atlanta is this and all this rich history and all this stuff that we have that we believe in, right? And I said this a couple years ago, right here in this room. We're going to lose this shit. We're going to lose it. Atlanta won't be leading in shit no more in the next 5 to 10 years. And everybody will be coming on platforms talking about what we should have did and how we should have did it. Because Atlanta is literally losing its flair. It's not happening overnight, but it is losing its flair. It doesn't have the same flair that it once had to the world that it had 10 years ago.
I think if you asked a 19-year-old, they would disagree. But okay, I think you're getting older, but I think I think you would disagree. I think they would disagree. The way that I see these young people act, I think they would disagree with what you're saying.
Okay, that's cool. I can live with that.
It in my
Is it me or a third in the matrix?
Nah, you breaking up.
Third, I think you're in the matrix.
And when I'm,
We hear
can
you
y'all hear
now,
me?
third.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I was saying even to the effect that when I see young people lie, like even to the point that young people are lying and saying they're from Atlanta when they're not from Atlanta. Like they lying, like, you from Atlanta? Yeah, no, where you really from? Oh, I'm from Gwinnett. Like that's how the power that people have. Like people will go to other cities and say you from Atlanta and lie, and you be from like McDonough. You know what I'm saying? Like the brand cachet that being from Atlanta has, especially as a Black person moving around the planet. You're not gonna go I guarantee you, if you go and say you from LA, go to Tokyo and say you from New York, go to Tokyo and say you from LA, and go to Tokyo and you say from Atlanta, and see what reaction you get when you say you from Atlanta. See the difference. Go to London and say that shit. You know what I'm saying? Go to Ghana and say you from Atlanta. Go to Nigeria and say you from Atlanta. Don't say New York, LA. Say you from Atlanta. The people's faces will light up. It'll change the way that it'll change the perception of the way that people think about it. That's all. But we're gonna table this conversation for another episode next week. But this is a good conversation, y'all.
Sure.
All right, everybody.
Yep.
Have a good one.
All right, y'all. Have a good week.
Bye, y'all.
Hey, testing 1, 2, 3. There you go. Another episode of the Monday Morning Marketing. I usually miss it. I'm now streaming live from North Carolina, Charlotte to be exact. Excited to be here. I'm looking forward to all the great things nature has to offer in this wooded state that I live in now, or that I'm in for now anyway. So, that being said, hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned next Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern. Have a great rest of your day. Happy Monday.